Hello there. Welcome, Stéphane Compain.
Welcome. Thank you very much for the invitation.
I'm really glad you joined the challenge to be on the red couch today. You were nominated by our mutual friend, Ken Nicol-Lane. And yeah, we have a lot of little interesting stories to get into. So maybe, first of all, tell us something that people can't read about you on the internet.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. If you dig a bit, you could find it.
Okay.
But now it's far down on my LinkedIn profile. Maybe 2 weeks into the COVID time, my business coach told me that I should be a bit more visible on LinkedIn and that I should do videos. And I said, no way, I don't like to do videos. I hate it. And then the week after, he said, oh, did you do a video? And I said, well, I did a video, but I cannot put it on LinkedIn. I did a dancing challenge with my daughter for her dance school. And I danced, I was in a tutu and dancing, but I cannot put that type of video on LinkedIn. And basically, he convinced me to do it. So yeah, it was a great challenge to do, and it's now far down on my LinkedIn profile. But yeah, I'm happy to share it.
I'm definitely gonna search for it and put the link to that.
I will send you the link because I saved the link when people ask me about it. So I will send you the link.
Please do, so we can add it to the show notes. And I'm also gonna watch that performance. That's amazing. Really amazing. Maybe you could be a TikTok star by now.
Yeah, the whole idea behind that is that it was to take advantage of the fact that we were in lockdown and that everybody was in front of their screen, whether phone or computer, laptop, tablets, and it was an opportunity to present myself and my company. And it's what I did. And funny enough is that, at that time, we were all talking about lockdown, people dying, people being sick. And then you had this crazy guy dancing, in front of in front of a video, in front of a camera with his daughter. And it was fun.
And, people also needed something to laugh about.
Exactly.
I had a whole series on the pandemic games. I was trying to give people ideas what they can do in their time at home. And yeah, and I still have to laugh when I look at those blog posts because they also helped me, to get through that rather difficult time.
Yeah.
And tell us a bit more about, your company and why you do what you do.
So our company is doing immigration and relocation services in Luxembourg. So basically, I've always worked in the mobility industry. I started in the moving industry, did most of my career for working for big international groups in France and Luxembourg. And 8 years ago, I lost my job. And I decided that maybe it was time to do something else. And the something else ended up that I still love my industry and the job I was doing. And I decided to launch my own business and co-founded LuxRelo with my wife. And
Amazing.
we are assisting expats arriving in Luxembourg in finding a new home, obtaining their work permit, the whole assistance around arriving in a new country.
Mm-hmm. And I framed you in my head very much as an immigration specialist, I guess, because we also originally chatted on an immigration-based Slack channel. So what would you say, what, apart from losing the job, which, I think can happen to everybody, but what was your big driver behind starting a business of your own instead of just looking for a new job?
I always said that I would never be an entrepreneur, that it wasn't for me, that it was too scary, and that I would never do it. I lost my job. I was 49, and at that age, it's a bit difficult to find a new job. So I started to send CVs. I started to look at other industries. And finally, I said, okay, you know, I loved what I was doing, but I was never able to do it the way I wanted. So maybe it's, you know, if I cannot find a job, why not create my own job? And it's how it started. And my wife was already working as a freelancer for relocation companies in France or Belgium, assisting in Luxembourg. And I said, okay, you have the experience for the operation. I know how to run a company. So let's start from there. And it's how it started. And I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. Now, thinking about it, I said, why didn't I do it before? But at the same time, having worked for big corporation, I was able to avoid a lot of the mistakes that, you know, young entrepreneurs can make when they start. Maybe I have, you know, maybe they are a bit more crazier when they are younger. The younger generation, you know, they can go, they go and try it. I'm a bit more cautious, but well, that's. But I'm making less mistake, I think.
Fantastic, and you know, I commend everybody who has their own business. So one of the things, you know, I love about being an entrepreneur is that I can just be creative, because working in HR has always been a bit limiting. You know, it's like you're sort of in that role profile and this is what you're supposed to do. But then, you know, people sometimes have a lot of different ideas and interests. And as an entrepreneur, at least you get to try to learn new things on a daily basis.
Yes, and you can try, and it's really what I like about it. Talking about, you know, business development and marketing, I was a bit limited in the companies I used to work for, because it's very corporate. You have to follow the process and so on. Processes are great, but here, you know, when you are your own boss, you know, you can use your personal branding. I'm really 100% using my personal branding on social media, making videos, and I can say things that maybe when you are in the corporate world, working for big corporation, you are not able to do.
That's true. Yeah. And I think, you know, what's also important is something you also mentioned is this is when you have your own business, especially in global mobility, I think it's a wonderful way to bring the human touch back and to be really focused on the customer and the expat experience. And this is something for me personally is very important, where, you know, I often felt like as a global mobility manager inside a company, I never have enough time for people. But here, you know, I can decide how I want to do things. So yeah, and I assume you do the same, right?
Yeah, you're totally right. The big difference for me is that now we are able to focus, and we build the company around that. It's customer service.
Yeah.
And it's listening to their customer, adapting to their needs, guiding them, you know, so that they don't feel that they are guided, but they, you know, so that they reach the point where we want to guide them. And this makes the whole difference. And when we see the comments we receive, the testimonials, that's just great. And what is interesting in our business is that there is not a lot of businesses where you have people, you know, I still remember this lady. I don't remember where she was coming from, but we did, her immigration was a bit complicated. And on the day when we did her registration at the town hall in Luxembourg, we got out. She came to me and she hugged me. And, you know, even a doctor doesn't receive a hug. So you see the stress and the happiness to have been able to go through that. And I think also I'm like a lot of people, I'm in this business because I love people. I love helping people, and it's really rewarding.
Amazing. Yeah. And you already mentioned young entrepreneurs, and you know, you have children yourself that are grown-ups, I guess. So what would you advise a younger version of you, let's say, you know, 25-year-old Stéphane, if they wanted to start their own business?
I would say go for it. Funny enough, I have 3 children. The oldest one, he's really looking into finding, you know, the proper ID or the proper business to start. He wants to be an entrepreneur. and the two others wants the same. I'm pretty sure that at some point, three of them will be a kind of entrepreneurs. And for me, it's just go for it. I think what is important, and it's some of the discussion I had with them, is you need to love what you are doing, whether it's in industry or services, because otherwise it's difficult to be motivated and work and put long hours when you start and keep the motivation. For me, doing relocation, I love it. I love to meet people. I love what we are doing. Maybe if I was selling cans, the passion wouldn't be here, and it's more difficult, especially when you start. Yeah. So it's one of the advice I would tell them is go for it, dream big, test it, listen to your customer. I think that's also the most important part. We tend, some people tend to sell their product or services without listening to the feedback of their customers, and that's not the best thing to do.
Wise words from you, Stéphane. Wise words, listening to the customers. Yeah, I think, and as we're also always customers ourselves, it's sometimes really good to see what other people are doing well or not so well. I have started to give feedback everywhere now because I realize how important it is.
Yeah, and also when you're going to different places, whether you're going to a hotel, to restaurants, or you're going to visit customers at their head office. What is important is also to see what they are doing well or better than you, so that you can maybe use it to adapt it to your company. And like you said, I didn't used to give a lot of feedback when I was going to a hotel or using a service. Now I'm doing it more and more because I see that it helps both to improve if I saw things that are not so great, but also to show that they are doing well in what they are already providing as services.
Yeah, exactly. And are you active on social media? Or how do you advertise?
I'm really active on social media. So when I started the company, we didn't have a lot of money to invest in marketing, and I already knew at that time that traditional marketing, billboards and publication in magazines, where it's a lot of money. I couldn't afford it, and I was sure it didn't really work well. It's something that is a bit old-fashioned, or maybe it depends in which service or industry. So I really focused on social media, and my main channel is LinkedIn, but I also have an account on Twitter, X now, on Facebook. I have Instagram. I have TikTok, and the idea is to reach the biggest audience. And I'm doing a mix of more personal things because people buy from people. So they need to know who I am. And a lot of people reach out to me because they saw my post about training for my first marathon, or because I posted on my holiday saying that, even if you are an entrepreneur, needs to rest as well, need to relax to recharge his batteries. And I think with that, people relate to you. And when they start to relate to you, they start to trust you, and they are maybe more willing to buy your services. So I really invest a lot of time doing a mix of personal posts and more professional posts about our services. I'm starting also for maybe 1 year to post about entrepreneurship, sharing my experience, how I started as an entrepreneur, what are my struggles. This week I posted about the main tools I'm using in terms of IT tools, whether it's in marketing, in finance, just sharing my experience.
Yeah, That's great. I've actually been thinking about running a workshop on this topic because I'm supporting in my, like pro bono, I'm supporting an organization for migrants and refugees who want to start a business. And last week we conducted a workshop on building trust in the Swiss market and, you know, how that is important for the sales funnel. And then, you know, they were asking me like, how do you organize yourself? And I thought, I could actually run a workshop on how to organize yourself as an entrepreneur, because, you know, there's a lot of things you need to learn, but it's also some of it is also just, you know, good tools.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we were talking about personal branding. I've done workshops on personal branding because, of course, like we said, it's easier when it's your own business, you're an entrepreneur, because you are a bit free to do what you want. But on the other side, you can still do that if you're working for a big corporation. You have ways to do some personal branding. You have way to make a difference. When you are putting a post on social media, whether you are a lawyer, whether you're an accountant. I know accountants that are doing great things on social media. You know, they are not allowed, I think, in Luxembourg to do any promotion or any advert, but you can do things that, you know, show who you are and what kind of services you provide to your clients.
Yeah, that's, and I think personal branding is also important if you want to have thought leadership. So no matter what you do, I think it is a good thing to get started on early. And then, you know, obviously you can use different kind of content, produce different things.
And really, for the people who will listen to this podcast, they shouldn't be afraid to start. Because you don't try to make it perfect. You need to be you. And this is something that I understood a bit late. And I think that my dancing video helped me, is that you cannot be liked by everybody, but you need to be genuine. If you try to make a perfect video and you try it 20 times and it's not you anymore. So it's better that you do a 1 minute video and you make mistakes and and it's not straightforward, it's not clear, but at least it's genuine, and then you can improve as you move forward.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And for me, you know, as a coach, that's also really important, because people, you know, they want to work with somebody they can trust, somebody that they like. And they don't want to, you know, work with a robot, because otherwise they could just ask ChatGPT to tell them what to do with their lives and work.
And that's the whole difference. It's why when people ask for my advice, I said, be yourself with your weaknesses, with your strengths. And if you have weaknesses, it's fine if you show them on LinkedIn, you know, even if it's a professional network channel. But at least it shows who you are, and it shows that you are not a robot. And people want to go towards people that are more genuine than, you know, somebody that is built up from ChatGPT.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. Have you got anything exciting coming up, Stéphane?
Well, exciting, I don't know. I mean, we are expanding our business. So, you know, it's despite, you know, what's the economical, political environment around the globe, we are doing well for the start of the year. Our clients are still hiring and moving their employees around, which is great. Luxembourg being small, we might, you know, think about expanding in other markets if needed, or providing other services. So the great thing is that working with my wife, we brainstorm quite a lot. So people ask us, is it difficult to work? I would say that 98% of the people tell me that they would never be able to work with their spouse. But for us, it's working perfectly well. We have she's working on operations and HR, and I'm working on sales, development, and finance. And we have our management meeting when we have long drives or going on holidays or meetings. And it helps to think about new projects. And when you are two, it's much easier than when you are alone. And when you have a business partner, in my case, it's my wife, but it helps not to be alone and just to throw ideas as well and say, okay, do we go for it? Do we wait? It's much easier than to be alone.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you have it all worked out. And
ups and downs, of
great.
course. I mean,
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur and being a human being, it's just it's not linear. You have ups and downs in your family life and in your business life. But
Yeah.
that's part of the game. My wife always says, yeah, being an entrepreneur, it's like a bit like a chess game. It's a play. You have to make a move. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, but you need to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, when you have some difficulty or blockages, I also think it's really worthwhile looking at what's going on inside of you.
Yeah.
But
totally.
I notice that most of the time when there's some sort of a block or when we're not moving forward, it's because of something in my head. So, when you work through these things, suddenly, pew.
Yeah, and you were talking about coaching, and it's something that we started a long time ago. So we are going to be 8 years. The company is going to be 8 years, and I think we started 5 years ago to have a mentor business coach, and it helps a lot just to step back and help you mentally, and yeah, sometimes you need, if you need to see somebody to help you because you don't feel good, and it's easier to talk to somebody that knows how to help you than talking to your friend, your colleague, or your family, because then it's less emotional.
Yeah, true. Absolutely.
And I think the main problem, I think originally I'm French, but I think like for people in France, even if it's starting to change a bit, is that people want to do it alone. They say they don't need help, they don't need outside help, which is, I think, completely stupid. Everybody needs some help at some point. And I mean, now I'll also spend a part of my time helping other people, giving advice to young entrepreneurs or to people that have grown up companies, but they are happy to be able to exchange with somebody that is outside their industry and have my feedback or advice on their new product, their new service, their issues, HR issues, finance issue, whatever, because it's much better to have a discussion and to brainstorm than to do it alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Stéphane, it was great talking to you. And I look
Thanks a lot for
forward
the
to
invite.
watching the video.
Yeah, I will send you the link. You will have a good laugh.
Will do. All the best to you and your wife with your business. And
thanks a lot. And
I look forward to meeting in Luxembourg.
I'm waiting for you in Luxembourg with great pleasure, and looking forward to listening and watching the podcast.
Will do. Thank you. Have a great
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too.